And we're live. Another Founder Wisdom Pod. For those of you wondering why I look like Mickey Mouse, I just finished a hard workout, hard hit. That one was especially hard. Apple Fitness one on the roof here with the sun really got my heart rate variability, which was a guess yesterday that we have up to 175. But I have Jiri Patak with us today. Hopefully he's gonna make my heart beat fast with Patron, not the tequila brand, the app. It's a fintech app. Jiri is located in Czechoslovakia. I believe it's called, Prague. I think I flew there once. And Jiri wasn't aware that Patron was a tequila brand, and he wasn't aware that my name was Charles. It's 10 p.m., so let's give him the benefit of the doubt in Czech. I'm really glad to have him on. And that's a good sign, actually, Jiri. It's a sign that you really much focus into what you do. Like, I have stuff that I'm completely not knowledgeable about too. So good job on that. This podcast brought to you by podpire.com. If you want to start, scale, or be invited to a podcast like this one, Jiri, can you introduce yourself and Patron?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So as Charles was saying, nothing to do with the tequila. We're like the Czechs. We are the beer guys. I come from Prague, even though I spent like the best of my years in the US and in New York doing like e-commerce stuff early in 2000s. But actually, it brought me when I came back. I got into finance, and given the advances in technology, it led me to the open banking, and as we call it in Europe, we are sort of over-regulated. We have the Payment Services Directive, which is the sort of local name for the open banking. So what I've been doing the last 3 years is building a B2C app, a client app, which really got to a really good start. It has become #1 app in the CE region for the end users. We have more than 250,000 of downloads, and a lot of traction going on. But you gotta realize that the Czech market is only 10 million people, so it's actually less than New York City. So whatever you do there, you need to be aware of the fact that there's only 10 million people that can actually buy it. So we need to really be frugal, and we need to sort of be very pragmatic. So I'm basically excited to be live with Charles over here, and I'm basically ready for any kind of detail, any kind of questions you might have.
Well, let's start with your road trip to California. What were the top 5 lessons that you learned when you were there?
Actually, lesson #1 was never bring your wife and your kid along when you want to do business in California. But since I promised them I would bring them with me, I sort of need to live up to that. The first lesson, the first real lesson was that you guys, I mean, you got an amazing, huge market to take advantage of, and in the Central European region, you got a couple millions, like users. So you really can think big. You got 300 million, potential customers. So whatever you work with, you can sell it to a whole bunch of people. Back at home, we need to really think twice before specializing too much. We need to be really general in many ways, in many respects. Otherwise, you would end up with having only a few customers that would buy your product. So the first basically lesson was, the scale matters over here. The second is that you guys amazing salesmen. I can't believe that. We are really good in product. We're really good in sort of getting the technical and the front end side of the things really great. But when it comes to selling it, we suck, basically. So my second lesson was that we need to really get into the sales much more. And the third, probably the most sort of important thing, was that we are really sort of a universal kind of guys. We try to do different things, and you guys, you really specialize in, the niche things. For every steps of the, of the technical or whatever marketing solution, you get a specialist, and you really go deep into knowing your stuff. You really go deep into your present, getting the best knowledge and the best experts in that area. We try to cover it all. Like, if you know decathlon in athletics, we are all like decathlon sportsmen over here. So that was the third lesson that I learned. But there was one positive thing that I brought home with me, was that there was nothing that I saw in California that we wouldn't come up with ourselves. So you're not smarter, you're just, better in the execution.
Yeah. Well, when you say youth, like me, I'm from Montreal, Canada, live in Mexico. I consider myself to be a citizen of the world and the web, but I do consider myself, the Californian at heart. People if you're talking about Silicon Valley, that's like not the rest of the US as well, but Silicon Valley is like the cream of the crop, right? It's they are 9.5 on 10 in pretty much everything. They're obsessed, and they do everything that they can in the playbook. And what you'll see in Silicon Valley is there's a technical co-founder and a technical co-founder. So it's pretty rare you get both, someone that is amazing at sales and amazing at building products. And maybe Zuckerberg, you could point in that direction. Elon never really did code. Even Bezos, like most of these were, they started in technical and merged to non-technical. The why is pretty simple. Well, you can only get so much out of your time when you build a product alone at your desk, But first, there's folks that are more nerdy than you are. And second, you're building a product for someone. So you need to connect with that someone that you're building the product with. And that is sales, that is marketing, that is understanding your market, communicating clearly. And obviously, as a CEO, there's a bunch of things you need to do to mingle with others, grow your network and so forth, learn on a daily basis, which is why Elon does very much non-technical stuff nowadays, aka management, aka PR, and all of these things. But your background is interesting, I must say. You started a diplomat. So tell us a bit more about that and your early experience at JP Morgan, which is why I reached out to you.
Actually, up to when I was like 25 or 26, I thought I was really going to go into foreign service. I'm an educated diplomat speaking 7 languages. And I actually, my MA thesis was on American foreign policy towards Iran. So, you cannot get any sort of further from what I'm doing now, which is basically fintech. But I found out that at this age that, the kind of people you have in the sort of public affairs are not as, how to put it, not as inspiring as you would have in in the startup field. And I really have much more like experienced people to learn from in the fintech industry than I would have from the public affairs. So my choice was clear. Also back 15 years ago, the e-commerce / technology industries were rather fresh, so I was really early in the market. That gave me an advantage, and that was when I built my first basically startup, which I sold to the Dutch guys who are like tough businessmen. So it was quite something. I sold it to Aegon, one of the biggest insurance company. So we cashed out and built another project.
Which was
this one. That was the app Patron Go. We started like 3 years ago, but again, like you guys in the US, the finance is really over-regulated these days, meaning that whatever you do, you need to be aware of the whole politics of the consumer protection and kind of establishment players. And after the crisis of the Lehman Brothers and stuff, 2008 and 9, it started to be really difficult to compete as a sort of a freshman, a newcomer. So you need to be aware of, the kind of guys you are going against. So as you were saying a few minutes ago, most of my time is consumed by, you would call it a politics, when I go around across the boards of different banks and insurers, and you need to understand, the environment, and you need to understand who are your competitors and partners, and you need to sort of lobby with the regulator when you apply for licenses. So it's rather tough to be in the finance these days.
Yeah. What about the consumer level? Is it hard to add value to them, or it's just like, ta-da, you saved a couple of bucks here and there? Do you have competition, and are these customers satisfied with the product?
In that sense, we got a huge advantage. I mean, I remember basically working with American consumers back then, and it was hell. I mean, you guys are really sort of pushy, and once you sort of fail to deliver a really good service, you're done. So I mean, the typical Czech or European customer will forgive you a lot of failures along the way. So it gives you more time to learn your stuff. So with the consumer, actually, I would say it's that's the simplest part. The European consumers, they like testing out new stuff because they are not used to having that many innovative solutions. So you really get a lot of consumers on board when you have a good product. You wouldn't believe how low our onboarding costs are with the consumers. It's basically less than $5 to onboard a new client for us with the app, and with the bank account and everything. So that's a big advantage for us, because the users, I could say, are underserved.
So you're basically saying that the Americans are assholes. So that's what you're saying, right?
Well, I still like
taking
them.
the diplomat hat on.
No,
loading my answer. No, just kidding. But no, like because consumers can be like quite tough here. I think the main reason is actually because of competition. I think we have like so much more competition that users are like, okay, you're not giving me what I want. Now I'm gonna go to this other company. Plus, here, well, in Canada and in US, we're kind of raised kind of as little kings and queens. If you want that, you can have it. So we're used to complaining, especially my native Quebec is like, yeah, you did not please me, then I'm gonna file a complaint to the government, and it's like really weird. And these sorts of, I'm not sure if it's related to the fact that, yeah, like these folks are like not entrepreneurial people. It's definitely, and I wouldn't think the same. I would think that it would be pretty much the same in Europe, because it's very much like more socialist type of country, in which people like are always used to getting what they want and supported by someone else, and have like no accountability in themselves. Well, I mean, and that's a tough way to put it, right? Like that you're always given everything, but in Europe, it's certainly like that. You get quite a lot of government support, right?
Yes, we do. I mean, but we also get really high taxes over here. So whatever you do, you need to be aware that the state's going to take half of it, whatever you earn. Just to give you an idea, I mean, most of the financial services are, I mean, Europe-wide, are usually owned by like multinational, sort of either Austrian or French or German companies, and they are really traditional, really conservative. And in terms of digitization or sort of fintech, they are dinosaurs, and it's really difficult to challenge them, because they have basically tens of percent of the market share, and the clients are happy to pay high fees, and they're really conservative. If you know the French nature of doing business, as you do from Quebec, right? You can understand how it works here.
What's next for your startup? What do you want to accomplish for the remaining months of this year?
Actually, we're in three countries now, including Slovakia and Poland, which is, most of our listeners wouldn't, be able to point them in the map. But what we want to do is really to go out and scout some more juicy markets. We're aiming for Germany. We're aiming for Spain to launch in 2024, and this would give us close to 130 million more potential customers. So that is our aim. We are far the most advanced open banking project in the region. We got enough funding because funds over here have nothing to invest to, so they have more money than they can invest. Also, the state is subsidizing it, so we are in really good kind of condition. We have not that sort of advanced competitors to compete against. So we want to go and expand in those two big European countries. But one of the reasons I went to California was to scout for potential partners also in the US.
Any expansion in mind? When are you gonna go out of Czech Republic?
As I mentioned, we're already in Slovakia and Poland, and in 2024 we should be able to launch Germany and Spain. We would avoid UK because UK is super competitive in terms of fintech. So if we succeed in Germany and Spain, we would go either to the US or to Southeast Asia, which is a really juicy market in terms of fintech.
Right. And in terms of fintech, is like the expansion dependent on the laws literally? Like, do you have like a legislative person or someone that a council that actually double checks all the laws and says like, okay, we should go in there because the laws are a bit less intense than in that country?
Well, you could call a European Union a socialist sort of bunch of countries, but one of the advantages that we have in the EU is it's a cross-border regulation over the financial industry, meaning that if we launch a particular service in Czech Republic, it's easily exportable to any other European countries without us having to sort of adapt locally regulation-wise. So we do not need to do anything regulation-wise when we come to a new market. So that's a good thing. If we do and go out to the US or Korea or Japan or China, yes, that would be a different story.
Where can people find out more about you online, Jiri?
Sorry, say again.
Where can people find out more online about you?
Here it's actually at patrongo.com, or we use LinkedIn most of the time to boast, about our successes. So that's the place to look out for the information.
I'm eager to see some of your posts in English. I can ask my GPT to translate it every time. It's kind of annoying. Cool interviewing you, Jiri. I'll follow up with you on the startup to see what new country you are in 12 months from now. Very exciting stuff you're onto. I'm Charles Cormier, your host of Founder Wisdom Podcast. If you want to start a podcast or scale one or be invited to one, that is podbuyer.com.